All right. Happy Friday. Happy day after whatever happened last night in Las Vegas. Oh my God. I cannot wait to get into this show. My name is Brian Brinkman. I'm part of Osiris Media here. I'm a producer on a number of shows, including Undermine and now here, HFPod on tour. Um, really excited. I've got an awesome guest here today, a legendary guest that I cannot wait to bring on, talk with through the October 28th, 2021 show from the MGM Grand Garden Arena. As you can all tell, I am sitting here in my home studios. I am not in Las Vegas, sadly. I went in 2018. I had an absolutely incredible experience. I loved Casville Vox. I loved the 11-2 show, scattered moments throughout. It was an amazing run to see Fish. And I walked out of it saying, all right, my son is 3 years old. I will not be able to see any Fish Halloween for probably the next decade. And then I did not even think about getting tickets for Vegas this year. Tickets fell into mine and my wife's hands. Only one of us could go. And I did what I hope is the right thing to do. And I gave those tickets to my wife. So I got the kids. I'll hang out on the couch. I'll be happy. Everything will be good. And then I watched last night's show and I was just like losing my mind and like screaming and freaking out about how incredible it was. So really excited to dive into this. And again, like I said, we've got an amazing guest here today who I will introduce in a second. Before I do that, wanted to remind you that HF Pod on Tour is presented as always by Shift Genuine Cannabis. Visit shiftcannabis.com for all your cannabis needs here in the state of Colorado. We are so grateful to be presented by Shift Genuine Cannabis. They've been an amazing partner for us. And we're so excited because on Saturday, our winner of the Shift Genuine Cannabis contest will be attending their 30th and 31st show in Las Vegas. Really excited for that to be happening. Excited for everyone who was able to participate in that contest. And hopefully we have more in the future. I also want to give a big shout out to our media partner at Jambase. Without Jambase, I don't know where Osiris Media would be. We've been so blessed with the support and the love that Jambase has given us. All your jam band needs, all your jam band information, larger music news, visit jambase.com. All right, I'm going to bring on just an amazing guest here. This is the original OG host of the Helping Friendly podcast. One of my good friends, someone who I learned a lot from podcasting wise, someone who I love talking fish with, and someone who there is always a chair for. And I'm not taking anyone's chair here. There's always a chair here, and I'm always so excited for them to be joining me. And that is Mr. Brad Tenbrook. Brad, how are you doing, my man?
Hey, dude. How are you?
How's it going? I'm good.
I'm
How are
doing
you?
well. I'm doing really well. I'm looking out at the strip and uh still glowing from last night, man.
It's one of those shows where you kind of just glow for the entirety of the next day
Yeah.
into the following show. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah, even I rolled over in the middle of the night, woke myself up and rolled over, and I know I smirked or smiled at, like, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, that was a good show. I went back to sleep.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get into this, but like that's been happening a lot this tour.
Yeah.
And like I've seen two shows that when I saw San Francisco one and Chula Vista, where like I had that same experience where I was like 6 hours later, just oh my God, that was a fucking great show.
That was
But
fun. Yeah.
man, what a show last night. I feel like that stepped up the bar. Before we get into last night, tell me just a bit about when did you get into Las Vegas? What's kind of the scene been like there? What's it been like for you?
Yeah, man. It's flight was a little delayed, but I took the noon bird.
Okay.
So not a big deal because Denver was a close call. Dix was
Yeah.
this year, so I was like, I'm
Yeah.
getting an earlier flight. So got in 2-ish and came to the hotel, and then it's the plane from Phoenix had a lot of fish folks on it, so it's a big deal because it's
Yeah.
there's not a ton of fish folks in Phoenix. I mean, there are, but not a ton like the East Coast. So um, got in. It's busy. There's a lot going on, obviously, in Vegas. Lots of people, um, and got right to it. Dropped the bags off the hotel. Let's do it.
Let's do
and
it.
yep, went around, walked around, found the friends, and yeah, had a great time, man.
Awesome. And it's amazing, like getting there this time of year. Like the weather's always incredible. It's just
Yeah.
like sunny and dry, and you can just be outside in a t-shirt, and there's like a slight breeze in the evening. It's perfect. I
Yep.
love it there.
This is why I
t-
live in the desert, man. It's,
these
October.
months.
Yep. Yep.
Well, tell me. So you mentioned, Dick's. We saw Dick's together. I think that we were together for all three shows.
Yeah.
Tell me, kind of going into both the fall tour and also this kind of this Vegas run. What have your impressions been about where Fish is at, kind of musically, throughout summer 2021 into fall 2021, and what your experiences were like at your first shows this summer?
Yeah. Dick's was good. Dick's was really a ton of fun. I appreciate your hospitality. It was a really good time. But they're better than they were at Dick's, and it's only been
Yeah,
what a month and a half, and
yeah,
they've only been improving. Um, I've said it, and I think a lot of people have said it, but they're right now they're just so nimble. They're just and
mm,
that's the word that comes to mind because they can take anything 20 years later, right? 555, whatever, and it can go type 2 in a second, and they take no time getting there. And
yeah,
there were a few times last night. We'll talk more about it, but a few times last night when um, the there was a come down or a slowdown, and you think another song's coming. Like, nah, they're gonna take the jam in a different direction, and they do, and it's like, all right, let's do this. It's really fun. They don't stop. Uh, I think they know it too. I think they're having a ton of fun. I mean,
yeah.
I was close enough to see their faces, and yeah, dude, they were having so much fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's always that discussion around, can Fish turn it on or turn it off, and like where is like the intentionality versus, um, where is the kind of spontaneity that comes
Right,
from like the magical shows. And I definitely kind of subscribe to the mindset that there is a lot more spontaneity than, we're gonna go out tonight and we're gonna play a good show. But I also think like they they had to kind of discover when they came back this summer that they were playing at a higher level than what
right,
they had been playing, than what maybe they expected. Definitely more than I think a lot of listeners expected. And as you got through the summer, you heard that kind of that nimble nature that you're talking about, where like that Soul Planet, for example, from Shoreline, there are
right,
so many moments where that jam can just fade out and go away, and that could have been an 18-minute jam, a 35-minute jam. It ends up being 47 minutes. And they just kept finding new ideas to discover, new ideas to discover. I felt like as the summer went along, there were so many different ideas that they were just finding themselves in, and so many areas where they were like, this isn't a dead end. This is just a pathway to another part of the jam that we hadn't discovered. And then they come
right.
out for the fall, and that's happening in first sets, and that's happening in the encore, and that's happening
Mm,
literally everywhere in the show. And I've got to imagine whatever last night was, and we'll know in 3 nights if last night was a setup for where the larger
right.
Halloween gag is going, or if last night was just like a show that they decided to play, how much intentionality is behind this. But like, I got to imagine last night felt, in some cases, to this point, at least in the tour, like a culmination of everything the band had been trying to do throughout the fall, where we're going to play Fluffhead as the opener, and we're going to jam Fluffhead.
Right.
We're going to play Carini in the encore. We're going to jam Carini, all in a way to see, can we structure a show around, you know, 14, 15 songs and expand them at will, like, at will, to make
Right.
sure we fill a 3 hour show. I don't know. Did you get
Yeah.
that sense of
Yeah.
like things have been
It
building towards that, or what?
yes, absolutely. It's a good you put it really succinctly, and it's it, they they know that they can take a first set deep now. Um and I don't know if they weren't comfortable with it, or they just weren't, uh, doing it at will, like you were saying, but they knew they could do it. But now, not only do they know they do it, they could do it. They are doing it, and
Right.
it's coming out, and it's coming out in spades, man. Just
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the show. We were right near each other for Phoenix about a week ago, as of
That's right.
recording
That was
now.
crazy. Yeah.
which was, I think, a good show. There were really good moments. It
Yeah.
also, like, when you look at that compared to last night, it also felt like a structured Fish show with elements of improvisation, elements
Hmm.
of experimentation. You get a rockin' Julius opener. Julius is kind of really solid in that spot. You got Soul Planet, Martian Monster, that whole like thing that happened midway through the first set. Second set, you get this deep, everything's right. It
Right.
felt to me as I was watching the show and as I've listened back that they were playing a fairly traditional Fish show with elements of fall 2021 mixed in.
Yeah.
Whereas last night felt like the complete extreme of what they've been doing throughout 2021. This
Hmm.
song is going to come here. Nobody expects it to come here. And we're just going to jam it for 17 minutes because why
You
not?
could also say that the summer and the fall were so close. It's basically been one tour,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there really wasn't much downtime at all.
Yeah.
And what downtime there was, of course, Trey was with Tab. So, he's
Right.
been, he's been doing nothing but playing live.
Yeah.
And he's he's got such control of his pedals, the floor, you know what I mean? The rig, man, man, oh man.
Well, and to that point, like you talk about improvisation, like he lost half of his band due to COVID positive cases
Oh yeah.
and had to just like, if the show was going to go on, he had to adapt on the fly, bring in Fishman, you know, we're going to play the like 8 songs that this collective band, whatever it is, knows how to play. And we're going to
Right.
have to play them for 25, 30 minutes to sustain the
Right.
show. Like, I feel in a lot of cases like that helped to inform this freedom that he's been playing with. That's been really amazing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, well, let's jump into the show. So where were your seats? You said you were pretty close. What were your thoughts inside the venue?
Yeah, the venues, to me, I always compare the size to the Toledo Rockets basketball stadium. I grew up in Toledo, and my dad used to take me
It's
to the
got a
basketball
minor
games.
league hockey arena or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
college basketball gym feel.
It's full. Obviously, if you haven't been there, the corners are full of seats as well. There's no really dead space, but it's not huge.
Right.
It's not like a NBA basketball arena. So
No.
it's intimate enough, and it filled fast. The line was long. Lines were long in Phoenix. I just I don't know what the deal is, or maybe I'm just getting old, but seemed like the lines are getting longer, and it took
Yeah.
a while to get in. Once we got in, though, it filled fast, and it was on. And I sat. I told you this, Brian, before we came in. I sat by myself for the first set because RJ couldn't make it. He's on his way now, but and everyone around me was a Fish fan, and they'd been to shows this year, and everyone was excited, and just a lovely homey feeling right away, and we rocked out. We rocked out.
Yeah,
But
it's
I don't know if you want to get into the show, but yeah, the intro was great, um, or the pre-show.
yeah, it's got that vibe. Like it feels like Dick's, it feels like MSG in the sense that like the band has played there enough that people know their way around, and you've got a lot of people who have gone to multiple runs. I think
Right.
the only downside of the venue is like the entrance is like a dead end at the end of a hallway. And so
Yeah.
and there's like one way into the entire building.
Dude,
So
Vegas
inherently
is
like
so
it's
weird.
always gonna,
Yeah.
yeah. But so you get in.
There's an outdoor entrance,
Oh,
which
interesting.
I didn't know about. Some folks were coming out like off of Las Vegas Boulevard or something. So we might try to hit that, but it just kind of bottlenecked into
Yeah.
into one line. So yeah,
But you get in, you got a good vibe inside of there. There's good energy. I
absolutely.
definitely feel like when I turned it on the webcast, it looked like it was about half filled. And I walked out of the room and I came back and it was like, it was packed. And like,
Yeah.
it had that like vibe of, early New Year's run where we're all back
Right.
at the same venue where like
Yep.
memories start flooding back for people. People start seeing each other. They know their way around it. And the lights go down. And I mean, they open up
Yeah.
with 2001 for the first time
Yeah.
since 9/22/99. Like, tell me what the place was like, and it's a great 2001. It's an incredible one.
Oh, I mean, what is it, like 16 or
Yeah,
17
16,
minutes? I
17
mean,
minutes.
um, It was like that. Excuse me. In true 2001 fashion, we weren't really sure what was coming. It's just kind of like
Okay.
this alien cloud. Like they let some smoke up, but and you're just like, what's happening? What's coming? And then they go into it, and the place just went wild. Just incredible. Such a great feeling. It took me back to like you said, when they opened in the 90s, last time they did it in the 90s, but it took me back to the 90s. It was like nice and slow and funky and groovy. Um, and when it kept going, I knew
Yeah.
that I that's like, all right, this is something's happening. Something's going to be special.
Yeah. And
Although,
it's interesting.
maybe I thought, sorry to cut you off. I
No,
thought
you're
maybe
good.
they're gonna drop into a bouncy number, or like a Buried Alive or something. Um,
Mm,
out of that, just thinking like we are just a special opener, because as we've mentioned as well, set lists are flipped on their head right now. Do
right.
whatever they want, whenever they want, and uh, but when they went into 1999, the place just exploded. People
Yeah.
jumping all over. It was really awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, just like one last point on the 2001, like you mentioned it, like it felt like if there's any issue I've ever had with 2001 since like the 2.0 period, it's that the band focused so much on like the peak of the song and kind of used it
Hmm.
as like a transitional number in like the second set. And it seems like they've gotten back to over the last couple of years really exploring kind of the edges around the peak. And like the intro was like 2.5 minutes long, and Trey is playing around so much with his effects, and Page is playing around with his synthesizers. And then like after the first peak, after the first chorus in the song, it just is this like long extended jam. And it just feels like a band that like they love playing around the edges of songs right
Yeah,
now and trying to figure out
yeah,
like where can we find, an inroad to another jam here. And 2001 used to do that, and now it's back. And so having that
yeah,
open, I think even beyond the gag that would come of this, descending number set list, you've got a really incredible jam just to kick off a show. But yeah, then they fade into the third 1999 ever. Had you seen one before?
No, I don't. They played it in at Baker's Dozen,
Yeah, they played it at Powder Night.
but no, I wasn't. I wasn't at the Powdered Night, so no.
I was thinking like there's how many people in there are getting their first and probably only 1999 ever. But then how many people are in the 3 for 3 club who were at New Year's Eve 98, Baker's Dozen, and now
Right,
this, first time
right,
being played outside of that venue, outside of MSG. And that went into an incredible jam as well, similar to what it did at Baker's Dozen. But like we're now 25 minutes into the show. We've heard two songs in very rare spots, one
right.
incredible rarity, and we've heard two awesome jams. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was over a half hour with the first two songs, and it just didn't understand that the really nice pregnant woman next to me who was having so much fun. Um, he's the first one who like leaned into my ear, and she's like, "Do you think it's numbers?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't even. I just thought we were partying. You know what I mean? I was like having a
sure.
great time." And she was the first one to. I was like, "Yes, great!" Like the sober pregnant woman was definitely on top of it more than I was.
Yeah, I mean it happens like because then they go into 555, and that was I
Hmm.
started to get texts from people and started to
Yeah.
think about it like okay, their numbers. I didn't put together the descending aspect of it, but it was funny to see it pop up here and there on Twitter where people were
Right.
realizing, and it brought me back to the Fuck Your Face show, which this show reminded me a lot of, where I was just so overwhelmed in the first set by the music, and I got a text from my brother-in-law at set break that just said "fuck you" in all caps, and I was like, "It was a good set, but I don't know why you're so
Yeah.
angry at
Like,
me."
geez, bro.
And and then I looked at the set list. I was like, "Oh, I'm now just getting the joke." So I've got
Yeah.
to imagine
Yeah.
there were a lot of like waves of, "Oh my god, that's what they're doing as well."
Yeah. But
Five
it's
five
also
five.
fun when you start to think what's so 555, and then all right, what's next? You know what I mean? Then
Right.
everybody starts whispering or guessing. Yeah, I was getting text, tweets. Oh man, it was that leads to some anticipation, even though the
Right.
show's already started. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I mean, this is the first that I can count. The first kind of thematic set list of this nature since the Thank You Encore at Dick's in 2015, where they spelled out thank you in the midst of a harpua.
Right.
Because in early Dick shows, you had the S show, you got the Fuck Your Face show, you've got most
Yeah.
shows spell something backwards. Um, this was kind of the first time that we've had that in a number of years, and it creates this almost show within a show.
Yeah.
You
All right.
think about like baseball, where like you've got the game, but then you've got like what's happening between the pitcher and this batter, what's happening when this batter comes up and the shift is on type of thing, the game within the
Right.
game type of thing. And that's where so much discussion comes up. And when you're there, I just know from being at recent fish shows that were really good. Like a really good fish show feels all encompassing, and it feels like
Hmm.
you can't even describe it outside of, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like a show like last night requires so much thought, but also the band is playing so well, and you're just like waves of being overwhelmed constantly.
It's funny you mentioned the fuck your face show because I've always thought from those thematic set lists that really started at Dick's, it gives the band a road, a vehicle, a map, if you will. And like, the Undermine from that show, they jam out the Uncle Pen, whatever, all the show itself. Like, here's what we're playing, and we're gonna make it special,
Right.
or we've got to extend it, or whatever. Kind of the same thing here. I'm guessing they laid the set list out, and like, well, we've got 6 songs in the first set. We better,
Right.
make it drip them out over an hour and a half or whatever it was. But this 555, I mean, it's a type 2. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going on around here? This is incredible. Just like looking around, like, oh man, oh god,
The elusive Mike's jam. I was thinking
yeah,
about. I was looking up. I don't know if this is 100% right. I need to do a little bit more research, but like, Mike's songs outside of Mike's song, feel so primed for jamming, and yet the band just doesn't jam them. Like I think we're starting to get closer to it. Like Mole the other night in Santa
yeah,
Barbara felt like it started to explore a little bit. Last night, as far as I can tell, was the first time we've heard a Mike song jam since the 71303 round room, which we're going back almost 20
it's deep,
years,
yeah,
where
yeah,
the band, they'll play like, I mean, for so long, Fish would play Sugar Shack, and
yeah,
Trey couldn't play Sugar Shack. And then, Mike started writing like 555. We've gotten a few new songs here this tour, but like, um, I don't know. There were a bunch of like Mike songs that would debut and they would play for like 2 or 3
yeah.
shows and they'd
That's
fade
right.
away in the 2010s. 555 has stuck, and it seems right now like whatever they did last night, I hope that they bring that back, because that
It
groove
was
leads to
great.
something really
There
special.
was something different about the bass line. I mean, there's something different about Fishman just generally. Like, his
Totally.
percussion obviously is just otherworldly, but in 555 specifically, the bass and Mike and Fish together, to me, I haven't listened back, but at the time it was noticeably bouncy, right? And it was like, just not, they weren't running through it, which I think
Yeah.
sometimes is what you're saying. Sometimes they do with some of the Mike's songs.
Sometimes it feels like just like a song in the set, and here it felt
Yeah.
like a part of whatever the larger narrative
Right.
was.
Right.
We then fade into 46 Days, which is interesting to me because they played it the night before in Santa Barbara, and it was a good version. And it makes me wonder, like, is that just something that they were trying to like? They rarely repeat songs, so is
Right.
that
Right.
something that they knew that was happening, and they either fell into it at Santa Barbara and they forgot that they were supposed to play it the next night? When did they write this set list type of thing? Like, how
Right.
long have they
Right.
been cooking this idea up? I don't know, but
Yeah.
the 46 Days was great, and just like another moment midway through the set where you're just suddenly off in a jam territory, and it feels
It
so
makes you think that
disorienting.
this came around yesterday morning. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because to your point, they wouldn't consciously, I think, play a song back to back. Not anymore.
right.
I mean,
No.
so
But that was a great
awesome.
jam, and then we start to get into the latter part of the first set. Strawberry Letter, I think, always welcome. People love
Hmm.
hearing that song,
Yeah.
and then that fades into 20 Years Later, which It turns into just another peaking jam, this
Yep.
like trend that we've been hearing of Fish since. I mean, I go back definitely to the Carini from Night One at Dick's, where the band plays an amazing song to close out the set, and then it turns into an incredible jam as well. And
Right.
you walk away just like on a completely another level.
Yeah. You don't expect it to close a set, just like Ghost kind of in Phoenix that we got.
Yeah.
It went like more Ghost, which I thought was, again, kind of backwards. And you
Right.
don't expect 20 years later to close a set. It's not generally where it's played. But it's just kind of composed, and then for the composed section, and then we're gone into the peaking jam that, watch us build this up
Right.
and blow this place up.
So we get to set break, and I've got to imagine. I remember feeling this after the set one at the Fuck Your Face show, which I keep talking about because like this feels like the closest corollary we've had to that
Yeah,
show in a lot
yeah,
of cases, from a structural standpoint, from a success, standpoint in terms of within the larger structure of the show. But I remember at set break at that show, my wife was walking around and someone came up to her and asked her like why people weren't leaving the stadium. And my wife was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "Well, the show's over." My wife was like, "That was just the first set." And the girl like just walked away being like, "Oh my God," just
yeah,
mind
yeah.
blown because it was such an incredible first set.
Right.
I've got to imagine there was like a similar vibe to that here where people were just walking around like on another level at Separate.
Yeah, yeah. I went and found some friends. Actually, one of them was Jonathan, HFPod, shout out.
Big shout out.
And energy was great. People were just smiling, obviously having a good time, but a little bit bouncing in my step during the set break. A lot of anticipation, a lot of texts about what's going to open. I assume they were going to. My thought was Seven Below is -7, and if we're descending, that's less than
Mm,
zero, right? So they're going to
mm,
close the show with Seven Below. So what's going to what are they going to
interesting.
open with? So, and when they opened with it, um, it I think another 17-minute jam, or so, from Seven Below, and it was just really well played too. Some of those 2.0 songs don't get enough treatment or enough uh, attention.
Right.
But you know what I mean. It was really nice.
Yeah, and Seven Below kind of lived in this like it was a second set opener for a lot of 2.0. There were a lot of moments where
Mhm.
it would open the second set, especially in summer 2004, and it would lead to a big jam. And it kind of felt like, there's an alternate universe where the band kind of figures things out in 2003, 2004, and continues on. And Seven
Yeah.
Below is played a ton more because of the breakup, the gap to '09, and kind of just the nature of how the band approached the shows. A song like Seven Below wasn't ever like fully featured in a lot of
Right.
cases. I was looking through the jam charts while it was being played last night, and I'd completely forgotten like there was an amazing version on New Year's 2018 that was about 17 minutes long, but really like just a prime spot for the song. And this was kind of where I felt like they like the structure of the show in some cases overtook some of these jams in a really good way. And I think specifically Seven Below and if Six Was Nine.
Yeah.
Um, you heard there was a moment in Seven Below, and I went back and listened to it this morning. I have to do some deeper listening because this is just one of those shows that will require multiple listens to like feel like you actually have a grasp on it. um, but like there's a moment where the jam sounds like it's about to fade out around like 12, 13 minutes. And in a normal show, it would have faded out and they would have gone into whatever. And they had
Yeah.
to keep searching. They had to find
Mhm.
something to lead them into if Six Was Nine. And you just you got that like 5 minutes of jamming that felt like a rehearsal, a sound check. It felt just like
Yeah.
completely off the wall.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just added a ton to the performance.
Just no idea where they were going or what they were doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not them, us. I didn't know what was happening at all, and you couldn't really
Right.
predict. I like to do, you like to try to see where they're going or where they're taking us, and obviously had no idea they were going to play the the Hendrix cover.
Right. So we get that, which is
Yeah,
an incredible cover, song that like, I mean, there's so many, you could go through Hendrix's catalog and be like, I'd love to hear Fish play that. I'd love to hear Fish
yeah,
play that.
right,
Um, Never really thought we'd hear the band play it just because like the vocals, seem a little bit more challenging than, you know,
yeah,
I don't know. It was cool to hear Trey go through the entire lyrics of that song, and it led to an incredible jam in and of itself as well.
yeah. And Trey loves to shred him some Hendrix, so
Right.
I'm sure he was up for it. I'll do the lyrics, no problem. So
There were a lot of rumors and a lot of excitement online about the potential that whenever they got to 5 that we would get 515
mm,
the Who, but we got 5 years from David Bowie, which is a song I know they played it in 2016, but
yeah,
I always think of 2009 when I hear that song and like the 5-year gap between Coventry and Hampton and
yeah,
just like so many themes within that song. Like I used to
right,
walk around listening to that song, just like so happy Fish was back, and just like that 5-year gap felt like such a moment in time. And
right,
I don't know. It was great to hear them try it again because I feel like the original performance on Halloween 16 didn't have like the best vocals, but it
right.
felt like there was a moment where Mike started singing, the camera was on Page, and Mike just put everything into his initial lines, and Page kind of smiled and just nodded like, okay, he got it this
Yeah,
time. I don't know. It
nice,
felt really
nice.
special.
Yeah, I think back to the first set, Mike dropped a few of the 1999 lyrics as they were like alternating between the guys, and that may have led to him. All right, I'm gonna make sure that I give it my all here. Um, but for me, I missed. I did the first 3 shows of 16, and then because of kids, um, I went home for Halloween, so I missed that Bowie Halloween show. So I'm super excited that got to hear it.
Yeah, I've always wanted to hear that song performed live, and it was just amazing to get it there. Um, this then fades into, and I'll pause here really quickly because it's just important to note we got a lot of bust outs last night.
Yeah, yeah,
1999 was last played on July 26, 2017, 130 shows. 5 years was last played on October 31st, 2016, 147 shows. Nearly 5 years since the song was played. Really fitting to hear it there. The next song, Two Versions of Me, absolutely gorgeous 2.0 ballad, hasn't
hmm
been played since November 27th, 2009. 435 shows. I cannot believe that we've had almost 500 shows since the start of 3.0. Like that to me is just
it's insane.
mind-blowing
Yeah,
that like the band left at the end of 2004 and we thought that's it. They're
yeah,
done. There's nothing
yeah,
more. And we've had nearly 500, you could call them bonus shows in a lot of
yeah,
cases, but like 500 shows that have seen the band just like recreate themselves and recreate their sound, and
absolutely.
it's been amazing. And this was gorgeous, and then went into a really cool jam as well. What were your thoughts when this was happening?
The 2 versions of me. Shout out again to Jonathan, our good friend. He called it at set break, um,
Mm,
and I love it.
yeah,
It's funny because the first set had 6 songs, and the second set had a lot more than 6 songs. I don't know, 10
yeah,
or something. Um, and this is a first set cool down, or yeah, I guess a set middle second set cool down song generally. But they took it 8 minutes, and it was beautiful, really nice.
yeah. Went into a really cool jam that then goes into NO2, which was last played on September 6, 2015, 192 shows.
It's
And
crazy.
that was played within that thank you set. So very fitting that we get NO2 and another kind of spelling set, if you will.
Right, right.
Um,
Thematic, yeah.
that's always a song that like it works like Kung, it works like Catapult, that like when
Right.
you hear it, you just know that the band is really feeling it tonight. Obviously, it works numerically within this larger show, but I don't know,
Having fun too,
just amazing to have it.
for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and then we end the set with a number of and 0 songs. Army of One, My Sweet One, First Tube, which goes into a really cool jam, and Character Zero. And the
Yeah.
gag at that point just felt like with every song that was played, the band was just like, we got another number song, and we got another one, and we got another one.
The Army of One was expected.
Yeah,
My Sweet One wasn't. I didn't
was
think they
not.
were gonna,
No.
especially at that point. I mean, it's not an end of the second set song, but it was 2 minutes of, just absolutely
Goofiness
jumping up and down. Yeah, it was really fun. And the first tube was 10 minutes, but to me, it wasn't finished, which is crazy that, they jammed it for 10 minutes. And noticeably during the first tube, during the peaks, or like, what would be the chorus of the song, the crowd was just like, we were just screaming. I mean, it was so, and Trey was doing his like little lean forward, like,
Yeah.
bouncing, and then he'd lean into the crowd, like in front of the monitors. Oh man, God, it was so
He's
exciting.
really figured out, like, I got to get to that like rock star spot. And like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to play to
Yeah.
the crowd in that song. He did that in
Yeah.
Chula Vista. And I was just like,
Yeah.
dude, like, you are honoring, Springsteen. You're honoring like every rock star that you've ever idolized. Like, this is
Yeah.
their spot. They're not just behind a microphone playing music.
Yeah.
Like, they're feeding the
Yeah.
crowd. I want to post a comment here really quickly that ties into what you're saying from Gerald. As thrilling as all the bust outs and the format was, it was the transition jams that the guys really slaughtered. I agree with that fully.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on that?
No, it's an excellent point, but
yeah,
it's also kind of, I took that away from it, because it gives them, again, they've got a set list that gives them the map, right? And they've got to get from point A to point B, or whatever it may be. And that's really the fun part.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like, I think about the difference between the Fuck Your Face show and the Most Shows Spell Something show.
Mm-hmm.
And the former, there were 15 songs, I think, played in the show. And so it allowed them this opportunity to figure out how to get from point A to point B. And that is where you get that Karini. That's where you get the Undermined, you get the Runaway Jim, the Farmhouse with the like crazy Space Jam, you get the Chalk Dust Torture. Whereas Most Shows Spells Something, there were like 24, 25 songs in that show.
Yeah.
And it ultimately felt like they
didn't have the space.
They didn't have the space, and like it felt like they were just like getting through the gag. And I think like what Gerald says here, like they could have just played the gag last night and it would have been fun. But what made the show really special was all of those jams that we're going to go back and listen to in a way that will ultimately supersede whatever the gag was, if this has anything to do with Halloween or not, or if this was just like a show where the band wanted to play a crazy set list and keep everybody engaged on like another level. The jams are what we're all going to come back to. And I think that's ultimately what makes the show special.
Absolutely.
And the first tube is kind of like, the first tube is what ultimately summarizes that. That could have just been a standard first tube, and instead it goes 10 minutes and into a cool little jam. Army of One, Character Zero, those songs were very easy to predict once we knew what the gag was. And if there was any other song that was easy to predict, it was Backwards on the Number Line. We knew that was coming. Comes in the encore. I don't know, man.
I'm glad it was in the encore. I didn't want it to close. I mean, listen, I fucking love the tune.
Yeah.
And I assumed it was going to close the second set. I don't know why. I mean, because then what would they have done for the encore? But when they didn't play it and we waited for them to come back for the encore. I mean, everybody in the world knew it was coming, right?
Everyone, and I know I saw some messages on Twitter that they still had some time until curfew, so maybe we were going to get a big number line in the encore. We got a really good one. Trey, I think he picked up on that sustained note that really like really informed the Eugene version, and he brought it over to this Vegas version in a really strong way. And it just like, it felt like a very powerful version of Numberline. And then we get Grind, which the band has labeled as Grind 2.0, because they go through all the songs that were played and then add them up to 4,680 digits, which who knows exactly what that's going to be.
I don't. It's really fun because it's got to be something. I think they're even Fish's Twitter account posted like a picture of a roulette wheel with 4680. Did you see
Yes.
that?
Yes,
And
I
it
did.
to me they're obviously showing some intention that something's coming tonight and hopefully the next night
Right.
and all that. So,
Yeah,
but
and
what
I
is it? I mean,
appreciate
who
you.
knows? I don't.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because like we're in that really weird, magical, difficult to describe to a non-fish fan space with a fish
Yeah.
tour and with where fish is at right now. I think you and I both know like I'll go to any fish show that I can. And I've
Right.
been to a lot of fish shows that like they were fine. They were a good
Yeah.
concert, had a good time,
Yeah. Yeah.
heard some great music, heard some songs I wanted to hear, heard some songs I didn't want to hear. Some of them I don't have any interest in listening back to. Others like I listen back to hundreds of times. Um, we're in like a tour where like that idea of just going to a concert isn't really happening right now.
Right.
Like these don't feel like concerts. These feel like events where the band
Right.
is
That's
like
great. Yeah.
challenging you to think about like who they are. Like the band is like challenging us as listeners to like think about like what is going on, what are like the deeper meanings behind songs, behind jams. Um, and them posting that like 4680,
Right.
uh, all the numerical aspects of it. I don't know, man. This is where like the inside joke of fish just becomes so special and such like a radiant
Right.
aspect of the overall experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And never ending banter as
Right.
well. It gives
Right.
us, you know what I mean? Like they know that we like to, think about what they're going to do, and
Right.
they get it just as much as they they get it, and they like it and love it just as much as we lap it up.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel at this point in time. I feel like we're going to be talking endlessly about this tour for the next year, 6 months, and even beyond. I mean, there's a lot of great tours in fish history that we're still talking about 20, 25 years later type of thing. Um,
I want to mention Wax Banks. Wally, also a
yeah.
longtime friend, and was on the podcast at the start. Was his tweets have been really funny, but he's saying that like he can't. This is maybe their best tour. He doesn't want to say it, but it's possibly the best tour ever. And he says something that like it's black magic, or I don't know. Anyway, check out his tweets. Follow Wax Banks. He's amazing. I don't have him
I'm
up in front
guessing
of me. I'll
you've read his fall 97 book, Tiny Space
Yeah,
to Move and Breathe.
yeah.
It's
He
it's my
sent it
favorite
to
thing I've ever
me. It was
read
incredible.
about. It's my favorite thing I've ever read about fish, and I would recommend anyone watching this show, if you hung with us for 40 plus minutes talking about a single fish show and what this show means. A Tiny Space to Move and Breathe by Wally Holland is the best thing I've ever read in my entire life about fish. He breaks
Yeah,
down the fall 97 tour and describes the music perfectly, describes where the band was at the time. It's an incredible book. But yeah, this tour is the only hard thing about this tour is that the band is playing so well that you really risk being hyperbolic and being
yeah.
blasphemous towards great past tours. And I've tried so hard to prevent myself from saying thoughts that have gone through my head.
Right, right.
Like I did the Phoenix Chulo run with our buddy Ben Greenfield, who's been on this show a number of times, and he hadn't listened to a note of Fall Tour before the Phoenix show. And we get into the show, and I was like, I don't want to tell you what I think about this tour
Right,
until
just
the end of the
listen.
first set.
Nice.
And they played Soul Planet, and they're like 14 minutes into Soul Planet, 20 minutes into the overall show. And he just looked at me and he goes, "What the hell is going on? Did you dose me?" And I just smiled. And like at set break, I was like, man, like I don't think we've heard a better tour since fall 97. Like I just
Yeah,
don't, like, all
yeah,
things considered.
right.
So I'm right there with you, Wally. I love that dude, and I love his takes. I have a question for you. One last question. This comes courtesy of my lovely wife, who is there, who is recovering from last night's show. The anniversary poster that we keep seeing around the tour, or like scattered around the tour. Have you seen this? The PSH
Yeah,
poster.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that this has any meaning? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I don't. I can't. I'm not sure, honestly. I've seen it. I've thought about it. Um, RJ sent me a picture of me in our yearbook that he like
Yeah, we
snapped with his
we all
phone.
posted those
Yeah,
yesterday from the under my
yeah.
team.
Oh,
My
okay, yeah.
mom sent me
So,
my yearbook picture, and I look like I'm 12 years old, but I was
yeah,
somehow a
yeah,
legal
yeah,
adult.
yeah. I definitely don't have any gray in mine, but yeah. I don't know. Is it Fish pushing that? Because at first I thought maybe it was a fan or not. You know, Fish org, but maybe they are. I'm not sure.
I don't think we're gonna know until after Halloween, and I almost like I don't know if we're gonna know even after that. Like my inclination is that it's something official from the band that they've been teasing throughout the tour. They
Yeah.
knew that, like you said a couple minutes ago, like we're gonna talk about this stuff. Like they knew that there were certain fans that were gonna see this, post about it online, and be like, what is going on? It was just going to build anticipation towards Halloween. They love doing that. There's always the guessing game in the tour of what are they going to play at Halloween?
Right.
What jams give hints about what they're going to play? I have no idea what they're going to play. I'm getting the impression that they're going to play something original, but I'm starting to get the impression based on old songs that we've heard, old jokes that we've heard, that Santa Barbara, hello, how are you? We hope you have a good time type of thing.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
felt like, and that was, from a old song that Trey and Tom and Mark Dauber wrote together.
Right. Right.
Um, I feel like they're
Is it
going to do some testament to the past, but I have no idea.
some sort of reunion thing or something? You know what I mean? Something that because why would they be the pictures of them? I mean, basically high school, probably college pictures. I don't know.
Right. My wife also pointed out that this is Fish's 38th year, which you flip that around, you get to 83. So I'm starting to feel like, that
Mm.
gif of Charlie Day where he's just got like all the lines pointing to
Yeah.
newspapers and
Exactly.
he's like, come on, you gotta trust me. So I don't know, man. It's again, Westbrook recommends Rush 2112. That would be great. Yeah, it's that weird space with Fish Tour that we're at right
We got to
now
go
where
through all albums that have numbers or are only numbers in the title. You know what I mean?
I was thinking Van
That's
Halen
yeah.
5150, who would
Oh, buddy.
sing,
Yeah.
but like I would love it.
Tom. Maybe Tom will come on.
Tom will come out for the whole set. Well, I want to leave with one quick comment here. Listener David Miller, awesome, great follower, great friend of the pod. 20 years later, hit me in a deep way last night. The lyrics and the improv. It's a small world, but we all start out small. I could not agree more. That
Yeah.
line has always really hit me, and it hit me when they came back in 3.0, and it continues to hit me in terms of just like where the band is at and how they view kind of their own like subtle evolution as they move forward.
Yep. And it's nice to hear in Vegas because shit ain't small in Vegas, man.
Exactly. Well, Brad, any last thoughts about last night? Any thoughts about what's coming?
No, I don't. It's going to be. I assume there's going to be some sort of theme again. I hope.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't want anybody to get tired of it or them to get tired of it. But hopefully, there's going to be some sort of ongoing thing here. But yeah. Ooh, my coffee's here.
Your coffee's here. All right, I will
Yeah,
let you go
yeah.
then. Enjoy your day, and we will be back in touch here as you
Thank you,
as you
man.
make
Thanks
your way
so
through
much.
the weekend.
Yeah, it's great. HFPod is in wonderful hands, man. Thank you.
I'm honored to hear that. There's always a chair for you to hang, man.
Thanks, dude.
Lots of love, dude. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks, you too.
All right, man. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging with us here. Awesome time hanging with Brad Tenbrook. I've been talking for 48 minutes about last night's show, and I still haven't really figured it out. I'm going to go back and listen to it. Yeah, kind of like what we were talking about at the end. I don't really want to speak in hyperbolics. I don't want to kind of overestimate where we're at in terms of like Fish career. I feel like we need time. We need months, weeks to analyze and talk about this. But I don't know, man. I feel like there's something really special happening. I feel very lucky to have seen a couple shows on this tour, and I feel very lucky to be kind of taking this in from this standpoint. Quick scheduling update just for everybody out there who likes watching the show. We will be going live for the remainder or for the next two shows. We'll be going live at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. There is an HFPod show. I will unfortunately not be there, but the rest of the team will be there. They will be doing a live show from the Brooklyn Bowl. If you're in Las Vegas, head over to the Brooklyn Bowl, 1 p.m. Pacific. So if you're in Las Vegas, local time, 1 p.m. For everyone who wants to watch from afar, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain. You get the gist. They'll be going live. They'll be broadcasting live over there. There's going to be a lot of really cool guests. There's going to be a lot of cool discussion, and they'll be breaking down each of these shows as they happen. And then I will be back on Monday with RJ and a few other people to break down the full run, the full tour, and just kind of try to do as much of a recap as possible of all of this. So next 2 days, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for the recaps. Those will be live from the Brooklyn Bowl. There's also a fan art exhibit that happens tomorrow, Saturday the 30th, from I believe, sorry, I'm getting this wrong, but it should be online. I believe 10:30 to 4 p.m. somewhere in that range. We had Alex Harry P. Hood from the Fishonian on the other day, who's doing a really cool exhibit about Fish's overall time in Las Vegas and what Las Vegas has meant for the band. And so I would encourage everyone to go and check that out. It's going to be pretty awesome, and that will coincide with the HFPod show that's happening. So I'll see you all back here on Monday. I'll be taking in these shows from afar. Hit me up on Twitter. Be happy to talk with this kind of via DM or whatever. Like, this is just some special stuff we're seeing. So everyone enjoy your weekend. Be safe if you're in Las Vegas. If you're not, be safe as well and enjoy these shows. Get some sleep, because these are going to be some late nights. Before I leave, just want to remind everyone we are sponsored by Shift Genuine Cannabis. Please visit shiftcannabis.com for all of your cannabis needs here in the state of Colorado. Thank you, Shift, for your amazing sponsorship, as well as Jambase, our media partner. Osiris Media is not Osiris Media without Jambase. What an amazing partner that they've been to us since the start. They believed in us from the beginning, and we love them for it. Amazing jam band content, amazing music writing from Jambase. So check them out. As always, I'm sure you all know of them, but continue to give them love. I will leave you all there. Have a great Friday. Enjoy the show tonight. If you're going, enjoy the show. If you're watching from afar, like myself, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for the live shows, Sunday for the live show. Monday, we'll do a full recap. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.